good day to you wherever you are. My name is TJ, and I'm reaching you from Citadel of Wisdom with TJ. On this platform, we bring up conversation on contemporary issues affecting our lives, either positively or otherwise. In today's video, we will look at some questions that has been going through my mind, which I believe goes through the mind of many people that are from that part of the world and other friends who are concerned all over the world. And this question is, why is Nigeria, a country with over 200 million people, referred to as the giant of Africa, not even having a capacity to do what some countries that are not as big as Lagos State can do? Why is it that a country that is so blessed with vast natural and human resources, good climate and arable lands, our people are still living in abject poverty? In fact, the nation is regarded as the poverty capital of the world. How can one of the largest producer of crude oil in the world be that indebted, and yet the people have nothing to show for it? There are so many questions that are begging for answers. And I want to believe that at the end of this conversation, in your comments and in further conversation that will ensue from it, I believe we will all be able to reason together to fashion a way out to solve the problem of Nigeria, because nobody is coming to solve that problem except the people themselves. In today's conversation, I want to look at the Nigerian nation and the legitimacy of the 1999 Constitution. The legitimacy of the 1999 Constitution has been questioned several times by several authorities. I want you to just take a listen to these 3 clips I want to play to you. And then we'll see what we can make out of it. These individuals I am bringing, their interviews or their presentations to you in these videos, they are people that every one of us know that they know what they are saying. What they are saying is the correct thing. They are the authorities in the field of law and constitutional matters. Listen to him.
Are you hopeful that this plan by the Senate to review the Constitution is going to go through this time?
Well, I'm not too excited by the efforts of the National Assembly. Like my colleague just said, it will end up an exercise in futility. We have put the cart before the horse. It is not for the National Assembly to give Nigeria a constitution. It is the constitution that will give birth to the National Assembly. The job of the National Assembly is to make workaday laws for the peace, order, and good government of Nigeria. So it is the Constituent Assembly that will deliberate and fashion out a fundamental law for Nigeria. So quite sincerely, I think we got it wrong. I remember many years ago, I was on Sunrise with the leader of the APGA, and he said that the car has been panel beaten so many times that it's now battered. So what we need, he said, was a brand new car. So if we agreed that the military decree that is masquerading as a constitution is worse than useless, then of course we have to go about replacing it with the basic law of Nigeria. I think we got it wrong again.
But now, if we could step back a bit, is the fact that what questions do, well, some call it Decree 24 of 1999, fail to answer for us as a nation? What questions are we looking forward to this constitution answering for us as Nigeria?
Well, we have to elaborate a true federalism. In other words, the constituent units that comprise Nigeria must be given the leeway and freedom to enact laws in respect of their affairs. We need devolution of powers. We have to decentralize. We have to reconfigure
Thank you guys for your patience. I want you to listen also to Barrister Femi Falana. He's a constitutional lawyer and human rights activist. Listen to him also, and let's see what he is saying regarding the 1999 Constitution as compared to what Professor Akio Yebodia has said in the earlier clip. Take a listen also.
Yesterday, over 200 women's groups laid siege on Nigeria's federal legislature in Abuja to protest the rejection of all gender-related bills during voting the day before on the fifth alteration of the 1999 Constitution. As a mark of their displeasure, the protesters were joined by some female lawmakers who refused to join their male colleagues in plenary. Similarly, some civil society organizations kicked against the retention of the immunity clause for the president and governors in the Constitution, saying it should have been deleted in line with the wishes of the people. Despite the protest of the 68 bills seeking to amend the Constitution, 46 got the yes vote of both chambers of the National Assembly. Now joining us from Abuja to take a granular look at some of the major bills that got the nod of both houses and those that were rejected is Femi Falana, the senior advocate of Nigeria, popular social critic, and civil rights activist. Good morning, Mr. Falana, and thank you for joining us. Well, okay, the matter is already placed before.
Good morning, Dr. Ruben.
Yes, the matter is already placed before you. This fifth alteration of the Constitution, how far-reaching do you think it is? Particularly as some persons have argued that this doesn't amount to any kind of advancement or restructuring, and that is just a cosmetic activity. And you wrote an essay this week on making Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution justiciable, and some of the issues raised, particularly with regard to citizenship, indigenship, are covered under that Chapter 2 of the Constitution. If you may speak to these, two issues.
Well, I think what the National Assembly is doing, once again, is to engage in instrumental amendments of certain provisions of the Constitution, which at the end of the day can be likened to movement without any progress being recorded. In 2014, the amendments were not even allowed to be passed. I think the regime, they rushed to court to stop the amendment when we had spent a colossal sum of money. At the end of the day, if you are going to be told what we have spent on this exercise again, you'll be amazed. And you ask yourself, what do these amendments amount to? Once you are consolidating the politics of exclusion. I mean, you have women who are not less than 50% of the population. You are simply saying they do not matter. You have the youths that constitute about 60% of the voting population. You are saying you are irrelevant. You have people with disabilities who are not less than 20 million in the country. They are not taken into cognizance. And then you say you are amending the Constitution. When you look at the totality of the amendments, you will discover that there's nothing really, that no provision has been made to address insecurity in our country, the collapse of the economy. So what have they done other than to say, we are passing a bill, want to entrench a clause to allow virtual hearing in the courts? I beg your pardon. The courts have already, using their own, provisions of the law, practice directions, were issued last year, and courts are already conducting virtual proceedings. I mean, I patronize the ECOWAS court in Abuja here. Since July last year, that court has not conducted any physical hearing. And it is the same with our court. Now, it's only when a lawyer objects that the court may say, okay, you can come for a physical hearing. So you don't need to go and put that in the Constitution. When you look at other areas, you ask yourself, what do these men and women in the National Assembly think they are doing? Is it about addressing the problems confronting the country? And we cannot make this a regular phenomenon. You must embark on a holistic amendment of the Constitution, a holistic review. Because what they are calling the Constitution, the 1999 Constitution, is Decree number 24 of 1999. Constitution of Nigeria, promulgation, Decree number 24 of 1999, signed by General Abdulsalami Abubakar. So it's not our Constitution. So what is the problem with saying, let all interest groups be given the opportunity?
Yeah, welcome back, guys. I'm sure we all know Professor Akoyebode. He's a regular face on the television. This is a professor of international law and jurisprudence. He's a professor who has taught over 70 senior advocates of Nigeria. Listen to him again on what he has to say about the Nigerian nation and the Nigerian legal order. He spoke recently at the Nigerian Bar Association Lagos Chapter 2022 Law Week. What does he have to say regarding the legitimacy of the 1999 Constitution? Take another listen.
Let me begin by saying that the lesson of inevitability of democratic values within the legal order is not lost on any serious legal practitioner or even casual observer of goings-on in society and indeed the human destiny. Of the multifarious problems afflicting the country currently, hardly is anything more benumbing than the crises and contradictions inherent in our practice of democracy vis-à-vis the legal order. The situation would have been laughable if it was not so tragic. That a country so blessed with human talents and incredible natural resources has continued to work on its head is totally stupefying and inexplicable. However, it is appertinent to interrogate the historical antecedents of Nigeria in order to lay bare the characteristics of the contemporary legal order and difficulty to grapple with the desiderata of modernity and progress. I want to interrogate the precursors of the Nigerian state. Nigeria owes its creation to the antics of British imperialism. What is important to bear in mind is that when the British arrived in these shores, they carried along in their knapsacks English law and instrumentalities of conquest and subjugation of the restless natives. I use that phrase advisedly. I had a teacher in high school, an American, who whenever we were making some noise in his class, he would say the natives are restless. He didn't hit us then. We were teenagers in Christ School. But later, some of us braved on to take him on, to tell him he has no lessons to teach us in terms of decorum and good behavior. Now, Nigeria being one of the last territories to be colonized by the perfidious Albion, was subjected to the most distasteful aspects of race supremacist ideology, of disdain and disrespect for the traditions and mores of the indigenous population. This attitude had been practiced and perfected by the British in relation to the native peoples of America and Canada, Australia and New Zealand, India, etc. This superiority complex among the English was so deeply ingrained in their psyche, as the writings of Shakespeare reveal, Tempest and Othello being notable examples. I must note that as recently as 1857, the US Supreme Court, in the notorious Dred Scott case, still had the temerity to declare that the black man had no rights, that the whites needed respect, more so that he was only 4 feet of a man. Wherever the English went, he could relish in the thought, as Lord Palmerston had intoned, that the long arm of the English law would always protect him. Indeed, they refused to subject themselves to the jurisdiction of the native courts, which were thought to be infra dignitatem to English law, which they had transported to far-flung colonial territories as instruments of colonial hegemony and control. In Nigeria, as elsewhere, they had created their own special courts. You remember the courts of equity, which had jurisdiction over British people here. And we had the colony of Lagos separated and made distinct from the rest of the, what they call the protectorate. This English court refused adamantly to apply the native laws and customs, that's the customs and traditions of our people, for they considered them, quote, repugnant to natural law, equity, and good conscience, a code phrase for English law. It took the genius and courage of judges such as J.I.C. Taylor and other like-minded jurists to win themselves off slavish adherence to English law and practice by striking blows for authenticity and independence of the Nigerian legal order, be it in relation to the rights of children born out of wedlock or the recognition of polygamy and the right to inherit as guaranteed under native law and custom.
Hi, I'm Charles Payne. On TV, I report on the
Yeah,
markets
buddy.
and relentlessly advocate for the individual investor revolution that is disrupting it.
I recall her, excuse me, I have a whiff of influenza. I recall here the case of Inria Dadevo, Dawudu and Damole, and such like cases that we used to regale ourselves with in my classes on the Nigerian legal system. G.I.C. Taylor, as I remember him in his jockey cab, driving sports car, and leaving the audience in a cloud of dust. We used to hail him then, J.I.C., and he would just speed away in Ikeja, where I grew up. Now, by the time Nigeria became politically independent, it had become cognizable to enlightened legal opinion that the repugnancy doctrine advocated by the British was indeed repugnant to our sense of values, propriety, and cultural wholesomeness. I come to the sub-theme, Democracy Nigeria Style. It is no exaggeration to aver that in Nigeria, democracy is still very much a work in progress. Having endured nearly 400 years of the slave trade and 100 years of British colonial exploitation and oppression, the Nigerian people had not been properly sensitized into the norms and practices of democratic governance. However, this is not totally unexpected of a people reared in unquestioning obedience to the whims and caprices of the traditional rulers, unelected elders, and on democratic belief systems stamped on the consciousness of the people after centuries of social conditioning and cultural manipulation. Nevertheless, needless to say, the first few years of the practice of majoritarian democracy in Nigeria were marked by different military junta, which had hijacked political power and held the country hostage for decades. Since militarism and democracy are odd bedfellows, it was hardly surprising that the Nigerian militariat succeeded in arresting the country's progress towards democracy and sought to entrench on democratic elements within Nigeria's political firmament. The most galling bequest of the military dictators was Decree number 24 of 1999, which it sought to pass off as the constitution of the country after its departure from the country's political stage. Although many people in Nigeria have forgotten the fact that we have a military decree masquerading as the Constitution of Nigeria, I'm surprised that lawyers with relish will recite various sections of that particular odious instrument as part of the founding laws for the Nigerian state. Regrettably, rather than jettisoning that evil and unbecoming instrument, the incoming civilian rulers continue to live the lie that Nigeria was operating under an autochthonous fundamental law with fraudulent claims to the effect that it originated and had the consent of the people. The ringing condemnation by the patriots that the 1999 Constitution had lied against itself is not one to be forgotten in a hurry. God bless the patriots for lifting the veil of the instrument of military diktat. Nigeria bought for themselves a pig in poke, and for as long as we refuse to consign the despicable instrument into limbo, for that long will the legitimacy of the country's highest law be a crude and rude joke and an unacceptable assault on international best practices. Nevertheless,
thank you very much for your time, viewers. After watching these 3 clips, can we then ask the following questions? Is Nigeria truly a nation? That's the first question. Or a business center? Can we say, in the true sense of it, that there are elements of nationhood in the geographical entity that is called Nigeria? Because when you talk about nationhood, you have to talk about citizenship, citizens' rights, and citizens' obligations. If we look at it in the context of that, can we say Nigeria is a nation or a business center? Another question is this: what was the vision of the Nigerian state? We all know the vision of the colonial masters that made them to create the geographical expression called Nigeria. We knew that they created the country for administrative convenience through the 1914 amalgamation. Nigeria was not created for the sake of Nigerians. It was created for the sake of the British. It is for their own administrative convenience. The British found it inconvenient to continue to finance the deficit of the budget of the Northern Protectorate. And therefore, they put both the Southern Protectorate and the Northern Protectorate, comprising of the Western Nigeria, the Eastern Nigeria, and the Northern Nigeria, together, which was a fusion of various ethnic nationalities, put them together without their consent so that they can continue to use the surplus and the budget of the Southern Nigeria to fund the deficit of the Northern Nigeria, so that they don't have to use their money from London. That was the whole essence. That was the whole reason why it was created. So we knew their vision and we knew their mission. But when Nigerians demanded for independence, there was negotiation to enshrine nationhood, to establish citizenship. There was a vision to have a nation that will be the giant of Africa and the one that will be respected among the Committee of Nations, considering the positive development that was competitive going on among the regions. This was agreed, negotiated, and enshrined in the Independence Constitution as well as the Republican Constitution of 1963. Now, guys, let's think about it this way. The vision and the mission of the colonial masters, we know it, that it was not for the sake of Nigerians. The vision and the mission of the fathers who negotiated Nigeria at pre-independence conferences, prepared Nigeria for independence as one nation, and consolidated it in the 1963 Republican Constitution, establishing the order, the systems, and the structure of the Nigerian nation in a way that they feel will work for the Nigerian people. The vision was clear and their mission was clear. But may I ask, or may I quickly point out here, that in 1966, when the group of ambitious men in uniform took over Nigeria, what they did was to hijack it. What they did was to rob the nation of its sovereignty. They took the sovereignty from the people. They dissolved constitutional authority. They killed some leaders. And then they began to run the affairs of the country. They became the operators of the Nigerian nation for themselves and their own family and friends. They began to give oil blocks to girlfriends. They began to give oil blocks to friends. They began to give contracts to friends. It became chop make I chop. And since then, since 1966, I want to point it out to you clearly here, friends, that the Nigeria we have since 1966 to this time as we speak is not the same Nigeria that was negotiated in 1960. And that is why before you say two words, you will hear from these gangs that the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable. It is, you will see that it is very easy for them to come out and say the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable, the oneness of Nigeria is nothing to be discussed. It is established, it is sealed, signed and sealed, and even delivered to them because they hijacked it. And how have they been running the affairs of the nation? They have been running it as a business. And because they recognized that military dictatorship was no longer the order of the day, it was becoming out-fashioned all over the world. Then they began to metamorphose themselves by forming alliance with greedy politicians to form gangs, which were called political parties. They were political gangs, not political parties, because we are talking about political parties without ideologies. Now, when they formed this gang, they continued to perpetrate themselves in power, also living in the dispensation that was hijacked. There was nothing changed. They didn't bring the sovereignty back to the people. The only thing they did was to change the military decree with which they rule over the people, took over the sovereignty of the people, took over their rights and privileges, and then they relabeled it as the 1999 Constitution. And then they made a false claim that that Constitution was a document that represents your wish and my wish, your aspiration and my aspirations, and that we endorsed it by our signature, that we, the people of Nigeria, have agreed to submit our sovereignty and to be ruled by those fundamental laws and principles. It never happened, brothers and sisters. That never happened. And that is what makes that constitution a fraud and illegitimate. It violates every principles of design, okay, and ratification of constitution of a nation, of any nation in the world. Now, since 1999 that they have been masquerading this as the Constitution of Nigeria, several authorities have spoken and you have listened to those authorities, some of those authorities in the clips I have played. Now here comes the question that if the 1999 Constitution is illegitimate, I am not a lawyer, but I put this one to you, those of you who are lawyers. If the 1999 Constitution is a fraud, if it is illegitimate, can we then say that, or can't we then say or conclude that every product that come out of it is also illegitimate? For example, elections and swearing in of governors, local government chairmen, as well as presidents, is done with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Constitution of Nigeria 1999. A fraudulent document, an illegitimate document. Can we then say, or can't we then say, that those elections were illegitimate? Those administrations that ruled in Nigeria since 1999 to date as we speak are illegitimate? And if they are, can we then continue to deceive ourselves? How long shall we continue to do the same thing and expect different results? Okay, let's even take it as it is. Can we see positive development coming out of this constitution? Has this constitution been working for the people of Nigeria? Can it ever work if the same system is sustained and operated by the current operators of the Nigerian nation? The answer is simple. We can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Since 1999 today, that is 22 years of civilian administration. It's not a democratic administration, but of civilian administration. We have experimented with the 1999 constitution that is illegitimate, and it has never offered us anything good. Why are we continuing with this? Those who are the corridor of powers are not sincere, and that is why they don't even want to have discourse. They don't even want to have any form of round table discussion around it. What do we need at this time? Do we even need an election? The 2022 election, that is the governorship and the governorship election, or the state election of Ekiti and Osun in 2022, as well as the general election of 2023, do we really need that? If we should go ahead and have elections, those state elections and the general election, will it be legitimate if the fundamental laws and principles upon which they are based is illegitimate? Why is it difficult for us to go back and do the right thing? If we know that what we have done is wrong, why can't we do the right thing? Why is it difficult? It is difficult because Nigeria is a business center. The operators of Nigerians are benefiting from the system as it is. And yet, you and I, the people on the streets, who are regarded as ordinary Nigerians, are not paying attention. They are seeing themselves as helpless. And they are looking up to those who brought them on their knees. Those who brought this problem upon them, you are looking at them to be the solution to this problem. Is never going to happen. Not even the Tinubu of this world, not even the Atikus of this world, not even the Peter Obi of this world, even the Pope is to be the president of Nigeria under this current system. Nothing is going to be different. It's going to be same of the same. How long are we going to continue this way, friends? So, as far as I'm concerned, in my own opinion, it is my opinion. You may disagree with me, but in my opinion, if we are sincere, if we actually want to develop, if we actually want to be a people, a people that is respected all over the world, a country that is respected all over the world, a country you and I can be proud of anywhere we find ourselves, then we have to be sincere and go back to the basics and rebuild this foundation. That foundation is faulty. We cannot continue to build skyscrapers on a shaky foundation. We cannot continue to paint and facelift it just to appear to the world that we are a democratic nation, whereas we are not. Let's go back to the basics, friends. Let us say no to illegitimate elections. Let's put an end to it. Let's say we are not going to vote until the right thing is done. And what is the right thing? Let the constitution that represents the wishes and the aspirations of the people be established first. Let the Nigerian unity be renegotiated. Let those bases of our unity, let the terms and the conditions be brought to the table and agreed upon. And then we can forge ahead as a nation. I hope this information, I hope you find it useful. Not that you should agree with me. You may disagree with me, but leave your comment in this comment section and let's keep the conversation going. Before you go, subscribe to this channel, share our videos among your contacts on all social media platforms, turn on your notification icon so that whenever we bring up conversations like this on this platform, you will be notified. Again, give us a thumbs up before you go. And that will continue to encourage us to bring up more content. It is not all the time we might disagree. If you disagree with my opinion in this one, some other times you may agree with my opinion. Until then, keep safe and remain blessed.